On April 21, at least 5 people are killed and 12 others injured as the tehreek-i-taliban attacks the Serena Hotel in Quetta, Balochistan. Per reports, the attack was meant to target China's ambassador to Pakistan, who was a guest at the hotel, but at the time wasn't present. In any case, the message was clear. The terrorist organization stood against the Pakistani state, accommodating Chinese interests in the country, as well as Balochistan. Balochistan isn't the only piece of the pie the TTP is after. The vast and resource-rich region, in fact, happens to be outside its traditional stronghold. The TTP has of late defined clearer and, more frankly, attainable goals after having recently absorbed various linked tribal outfits. The Tehreek-i-Taliban has recalibrated its actions as well as messaging to oppose the Pakistani state and to assert a Pashtun-centric, tribal-minded Islamic identity. Formed in 2007, the Tehreek-i-Taliban Pakistan now stands as the largest and most actively armed opposition to the Pakistani establishment. In 2020, it carried out over 120 terrorist attacks. 26 of these happened in July alone. A 73% rise in such incidents only now, instead of indiscriminate attacks against civilians. The group was targeting its ire against the state, targeting government infrastructure or personnel within Pakistan's armed forces. The TTP wants an independent state in Pakistan's tribal areas. Its chief Noor Wali Mahsood was quoted as saying in an interview, "The TTP and the Haqqani network are both affiliates of the larger Afghanistan Taliban, with the former operating out of the east and the latter in the southeast. But due to its terrorist attacks against Pakistan, the ISI-backed Haqqani network has had to circumvent its affiliations with the Tehreek-i-Taliban. Successive Pakistani governments have tried to unsuccessfully negotiate terms with the TTP. But as is evident, the TTP has its own ambitions, which is asserting its Pashtun tribal identity, one that could resonate with residents along the border and transform the militant group into an uprising." Again in April this year, there was a different kind of uprising that the Pakistani state had to reckon with. That month, anti-France demonstrations had broken out against the reissue of caricatures of Prophet Muhammad by French satire magazine Charlie Hebdo. And this time, they had the support of the Emmanuel Macron government. To this, supporters of the now-banned Tehreek-i-Taliban Pakistan took to the streets, demanding that the Imran Khan government remove France's ambassador from the country. The protests soon turned violent. 4 policemen were killed by alleged TLP supporters. Hundreds of protesters and police personnel were injured. Thousands of TLP activists and supporters were arrested, booked for attacking law enforcement personnel and carrying out blockades along main roads and highways. On April 14th, the TLP was banned under the Terrorism Act. But the political organization's sway was such that the Pakistani government, 6 months later, would be forced to strike a deal mandating the release of 350 of the TLP activists to resolve a tense standoff. In contrast to the Pakistan Taliban, the Tehreek-i-Taliban never intended to overtly model itself after jihadist terrorist groups or specific Pashtun identities. It is a politico-religious organization founded in 2015, gaining prominence in 2017, as it held protests for reform in the country's political process. Its message and appeal turning out rather palatable, leading to the resignation of the then Pakistani law minister. In 2018, the TLP emerged as the 4th largest political party, managing to secure 4% of the national vote, but winning no assembly seats. Most politico-religious movements in Pakistan lean Deobandi, But the TLP is distinctly Barelvi, representing around 50% of the country's population, according to some estimates. While the TLP Tehreek-i-Taliban and the TTP Tehreek-i-Taliban Pakistan have their differences, one being an overtly militant terrorist organization, the other one being listed due to recent attacks against state law enforcement, the two represent a formidable challenge to the Imran Khan government of Pakistan and by extension the state. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.